The Facedowns present the Battle of the Islands.
A best-of-3 battle for the ages between the winners of the North and South Island champs, Ricky Campbell and Samuel John, the winner of which will take home the glory of being the undisputed, unofficial champion of New Zealand.
On the 7th of December, one will be crowned. Subscribe to the Facedowns so you don't miss out.
Hello and welcome to the Facedowns, your source for TCG news and all things Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm Lucas.
I'm Ruben.
And I'm Joe.
And today we are joined by a very special guest.
Yeah, a very stinky guest.
We are coming to you live from our office, as well as Joe's office and Connor's room. But our guest of honor today is...
Thanks for having me.
Wait, say your name.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Welcome to the podcast. How are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm CheeseTCG, been streaming a while. And if you know me locally,
chat, everybody.
Yeah, if you know me locally, I'm Conor.
Hello.
Hello and welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So Conor is a very special guest, very near and dear to our hearts, a personal friend, a local friend, I should say.
Yes.
And our Uber driver.
Also,
definitely.
One of our primary testing partners, and someone I would consider to be, on an equal level, let's say, an equal level of Yu-Gi-Oh! Skill. Wouldn't say he's better than me or anything.
No way. Got plenty of room to go.
Well, he did better than me at the North Island Champs. We'll get to it. But he has, you want to list off some of the accomplishments over your short period at Yu-Gi-Oh? Yeah.
Okay, well, it's nothing too exciting. Just, let's see, I've won one of the extravaganza events, and I top many of them. My highlight would be winning that thing with my penguin deck and getting the cheeky SEMO feature on YouTube.
Do you want to finally admit how many players were at that event, or should we keep it a secret?
Let's keep it a secret because people still they still remember me from that video.
Are we taking that secret to the grave?
We always do.
Yeah. So you've had some success.
Yeah, definitely had some success.
Definitely, you've grown a lot since you started playing. You started playing a little bit after me and Ruben began.
Yeah, that's right.
To begin with, you were very much the scrappy new kid. Didn't have any of the expensive cards. Didn't know what things did.
Yep, definitely. That was me.
So what was that like, getting into Yu-Gi-Oh! From the ground up in, I guess, Master Rule 5 or late Master Rule 4?
Yeah, late MR4.
Yeah, it was late MR4. So I think the first hobby I went to was the week before the very first lockdown.
Oh, wow.
And I had my my really super budget salad deck.
Nothing wrong with that.
So that was
Joe's quite familiar with that strategy.
Yeah, that was my experience with MR4, and I think after that, the next time I played wasn't until an EDO hobby league, and that was just after MR5 was announced or became legal.
So it actually just became legal 2 days ago, but we've been playing with it for 1.6 years.
No, that was the Master Rules revision update. Became legal 2 days ago.
You're talking about
the place and location of trigger and stuff. We've been in Master Rule 5. I'm pretty sure they did announce that, right?
Yeah, no. But,
when it happened?
In that same revision was those updates.
Wow.
Yes.
So we've just been cheating the whole time. No.
We have just been cheating the whole time.
So that's interesting. So you started playing right on the cusp. You didn't really get to start playing Yu-Gi-Oh! In person. You were very much a child of the remote duel.
Yeah, that's right.
Simulator, first of all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was quite nice having all the floating circles telling me what to do.
Yeah, and having all the cards at your availability without dropping a single dime.
Exactly. But I'd never used any of the expensive cards because I didn't know how to use it.
What were the expensive cards at the time that you started? Do you remember?
Well, expensive for me because I just wasn't willing to spend the money yet. But it was like Nibiru, Phantasme, even Ash at the time.
She stayed expensive. So
Yeah, exactly.
that's lovely.
I got such good memories of Phantasme. That format in particular, playing with Phantasme was just such a trip.
Yeah, and by comparison, Joe, what was some of the, like, when you were getting into the game, what was some of your, like, the expensive staples that you just went, oh, I can't justify that?
Cyber Dragon, Rays of the Storm Monarch.
Old man Joe.
Yeah.
Old man Joe. Come over
All
here.
those, yeah.
How much was Cyber Dragon?
They were, I think, 25-ish each for a long time, even after they're like 10. I think before the 10 reprint came out as like the promo, I think they're around 40 to 45 each. Like, and then when the 10 came out, they dropped down to like a $20 mark. But still, as a kid, I was like, nah, that's out of range still. Yeah.
So you hear that, Connor? $45 was an expensive card.
Definitely. It still is, to be honest.
True. I actually remember these EDO Pro hobbies because it's where we first. I think it's our first time we met.
I think
you were playing Salad.
Yep, that's right. I was playing Salad, and I was a feature match against Full Power Adamantipator.
Oh, that might have been. That's probably my bad.
Don't say that.
How'd that work out for you?
Yeah, I got 2-0'd swiftly on stream. I was unfortunate.
And the meta deck that the only hand trap they mained was Nibiru wasn't exactly the best Salamangreat matchup.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't know what Nightmare Griffin did and things like that. So yeah, it was rough, but you know what? I learned some things. Always learning from a loss.
Always learning. Always growing.
Jump forward a little bit. I think the first time I met Connor, I've only met him once so far, was in Dunedin. And he had just come off the YCS Air New Zealand flight
oh my
up
God,
in the
crazy.
sky. Yeah, that was... I remember that.
FTK'd.
Yeah, definitely.
Can we say that? Plain FTK? Is that not...
Yeah, so I think you ended up playing the multi-format as well the day after. And what sort of drew you into like playing like an older format? Do you think that's like because you felt like you missed out on that sort of thing, or?
Yeah, so like I played as a kid back in like 2007, 2008, but never looked like any further than just playing with my brother. And I played casually in 2015 when Pendulum Mechanic was just released. And I remember looking at that thinking, like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
But what got me back into playing that old format was just seeing all the like streamers and YouTubers starting to dabble in it, and knowing that some of the local guys I know have been around for a long time. So I figured, why not try play some old format, learn some things. There are a lot of things you can learn playing old format that can apply in today's game anyway.
Priority, that's a fun one.
Yeah.
Drawing for turn, that's also pretty cool.
I love that.
That was a lovely childhood memory of mine. And what did you play in this old format? What kind of drew you in to this kind of era? Because I think this was obviously, for those who are unaware, we have spoken about it with Joe previously, but this is a tournament where every deck legal from December 2014 backwards was available to be played as long as there were corresponding topping lists. And so what did you play at this particular event down in Dunedin?
Well, I'm going to have to say the S word. I played...
No, I can't say it. It's blocked. A certain fusion deck that involves...
Yes. And my reasoning for playing it was because I couldn't grab all the cards for my Sylvan deck beforehand.
Oh, man.
So that was...
Sylvan's been so fun.
Yeah, exactly. Which is what I was hoping to play for the multi-format that was going to be hosted in Palmy.
Yes.
Yep.
Unfortunately, we got locked down, missed out on that one.
Yeah.
But,
so you got plain FTK'd out of the actual event before, and then you got COVID FTK'd out of playing the next one.
Exactly.
But it is an event that definitely will happen. So like we are just waiting really until like the whole country comes out, because I know that a lot of you Auckland guys do want to come down for that. So
December 15th, let's go. That's the gig. Let's start booking flights for the new year. That's all I've got to say. We've got a lot of flight credit that I'd love to use.
Aaron's already in my DMs like, yo, when we go in Palmy.
Yeah.
He's so keen. Oh man.
And so I think obviously we've looked at a couple of, past, present, and, successes. I guess what about like learning from like playing as a child, seeing other people play now, what transitioned you from moving from casual to the competitive aspect of the game? Because obviously that is quite a difference in play style with a lot of people. I think we've all kind of told our stories on how, we've gone from, schoolyard Yu-Gi-Oh to we're now sitting down at these competitive level events. I mean, we've just had the North Island Championships yesterday. Joe hosted an OTS store championship last week. So what brought you forward into this format? What piqued your interest?
Honestly, I just got sick and tired of losing to these decks, the like meta decks, and I really wanted to beat like you guys, especially. I was like, I knew I could do it,
and I still trying.
I always trying. And yeah, so I kind of figured, you know what, I need to spend some money, get a good deck, and I think I have a good shot.
Yeah, it's very interesting, the kind of mentality with meta. It kind of is almost like a fight fire with fire when you're playing a card game. Like if you just lose so much to the fire, you just kind of embrace that and start picking it up.
Yeah, exactly.
And Joe, I guess you've obviously had like, you've come in and out of meta quite recently. Like, you do come in and out of playing the game at a competitive angle. So I guess the different question here is like, what, in contrast to Conor, what's kept you at, the meta, and like what keeps you going?
Like it depends on the format, because like obviously sometimes you can just be like completely turned away from Yu-Gi-Oh, and I think it's sometimes important, like if you're not enjoying it, like you don't have to like push through it. That's my sort of advice. Like don't be afraid to take a break. Like it is good for you. Like I'm quite happy I missed out on the whole spiral like format and tier 0
both
formats
times.
and stuff. Yeah, both times. And like that's not to say that like I don't like tier 0 formats, because like I quite enjoyed the Zodiac one, but like I don't know, just it's the style of play of the deck. Like if it's very much a one turn and you're done and that's it for the whole of Yu-Gi-Oh, and if you're not playing that deck you just cannot win a tournament, like I don't enjoy that. I'm really really enjoying the current format though, because of just how diverse it is. So yeah. But that's what keeps me in.
Taking on from that, Joe, that's a great question actually. Has at this point in time, Conor, there been a format where you've just wanted to peace out?
No, it hasn't.
Damn.
Oh, well, touch wood.
Stronger than me.
Yeah. I definitely peaced out. I personally left at kind of the beginning of Invoked Dogmatica Shadol. That was a good, I was like, I'm done here.
Because you spent like $1,000 on that deck, got absolutely washed.
Yeah.
And then we're like, why did I do that?
Yeah. Joe, did that happen for you recently?
My most recent one was kind of at the end of the Eternal format. I was a bit burnt out, but it was more I picked up other interests, like I started gaming and streaming and stuff. And I just didn't have as much time for Yu-Gi-Oh, so I let it go for a bit. But no, I'm happy to be back, and I don't see myself leaving anytime soon.
No, it's pretty healthy.
Yeah.
And speaking of streaming, what then has now, encouraged the transition to move forward onto another platform entirely for you, Conor? What was the inspiration?
Honestly, it just looked like a lot of fun. Being able to stream, and also anyone who comes by has something interesting to say, and it's usually worth a thought in my deck building if I'm like looking at someone else's deck or something like that. Just lots of ideas. It opens up, I guess, a bit of creativity, which is something I think is needed to always be ahead of the game.
I think it's how you stay in like Yu-Gi-Oh passion, is to find something that isn't playing Yu-Gi-Oh that you can do. It sounds weird, but having friends that play Yu-Gi-Oh helps, because you don't always have to play Yu-Gi-Oh when you're chilling. It's just like a kind of binding agent that is something to do when there's nothing else to do, I suppose. And that's been very much the story over lockdown. Like, there's nothing to do. We should just play Yu-Gi-Oh constantly.
Yeah, I mean, Joe it is like an incredible adhesive for us here. Like, this is just such a great motivator to be here, recording, speaking with people, speaking our stories, telling history. It's really important to find that balance and making sure that each person is able to, still enjoy the game without getting burnt out. Because, you can start to live to hate what you do And it's really important to avoid that, I think.
Yeah, don't hate it yet. Maybe 20 years down the line when we're doing episode 1313.
Yeah, maybe when I start seeing Ghost Reaper pop up in the format more, I'll start hating the game. But until that time, I'll be okay.
Review of Ghosts from the Past 14. They're printing Ghost Rare Waterpon. Really
Still
excited about this one. There's only four. There's only 4 non-Ghost Rare cards left in the game. Everything else has been reprinted at Ghost.
One quick follow-up question for Twitch as well. I think it can benefit you as a player as well, because I know, talking from like a gaming aspect, I could go back and watch replays.
Yeah,
and that's something that I think would be really beneficial in Yu-Gi-Oh. Like, do you agree with that? Like, do you find yourself looking back?
Yeah, I always look back on my VODs after every extravaganza. I'm always looking at my duels, figuring out if I played it correctly or something like that. Big benefit, definitely, being able to rewatch.
And how long would you say that took for you to develop? Because I think, it's quite personal being able to self-reflect and, post-analysis. But what do you think is some good advice for people who maybe aren't yet to experience that kind of ability to self-reflect and recognize, potential, plays or strategies?
I think you just have to, what's the word? Like, you need to be able to just realize that you're not always going to get it right, and that you can always improve, I guess, because there's always going to be something you did wrong, or maybe you don't know everything to be blunt about it. So having the humility, I guess, just to say, you know what, I can improve. I can always improve, and it doesn't matter if I screwed it up this time. I won't screw it up next time.
Yeah, I think that's something I can struggle with a little bit. Definitely get in my own head about lists and what I think is going to be like absolutely insane or unstoppable side decks that I'm like, this is a perfect, no one can tell me this isn't the right card to play. And I'm definitely guilty of that. And maybe, I'm actually planning on starting streaming soon. Maybe I'll gain a bit of your humility once chat starts roasting me for the 15th time about playing sphere mode in every deck that I can. It does humble a little bit, I'm sure.
Yeah, I find it quite opposite. I will just very much just person like you, just card quality, and just say this works. Like, it's not a matter of like I have to force success. It can just be a matter of analyzing card quality. And this is something that we talked about last week, Joe, with obviously now the success of, speaking of online content, seeing Jaffe Forrest going forward onto Lithium's video, his simple comment about speaking about Lord of the Heavenly Prison, saying that that's a good card. Those words have a lot of weight. I think that that's something that a lot of people don't recognize as well, and might not be able to take a step back and analyze that kind of value, and maybe just get blinded by the hype or the lack of hype. Personally, I feel like we've seen that with in particular, Small World.
Like sometimes you just need to test out a card for yourself to decide whether it's actually worth using or not.
Yep, 100%.
And we're all guilty of the spice, right? We're all guilty of like, getting a really hot idea and being like, this is going to be, no one's thought of this. This is going to absolutely destroy the meta. And sometimes it works out, and sometimes it falls flat on its face.
Well, on that note with Small World, before I realized that Dinotherium was the bridge card, I was playing the Win Channeler.
Okay.
So
I feel like this is quite interesting. I feel like I heard this. I feel like someone was watching your stream and said, he's playing Win.
That was me, yeah. Someone in the chat was like, yo, is that Win? And I'm like, Win?
Yeah.
In Tri-Brigade, it's like the Link monster? But no, you're playing the main deck monster.
Yeah, the main deck monster, because what Win did was turn any bird into the bird you needed, because it searched any Win monster that had 1500 or less defense. And I figured, you know what? That fixes a big problem I'm having with this deck, but it introduces a new problem.
And its only restriction was the wind lock, is that correct?
Yes. So once it resolves, you can only use wind effect for the rest of the turn, wind monster effects. So while you can still full combo, it stops your Tri-Brigade plays, and your protection under F-Zero was turned off. So basically, man, if they had Nib, I was losing to it, basically.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was like, no one's on Nib at the moment.
And
I'll
that's
risk.
what I've been guilty of, right? Like, is you kind of think the format is a certain way and you build
Yeah.
around, well, no one's going to be playing Lancia. No one's going to be playing Nibiru in the main. Like, who would do that? And it turns out when you go to a tournament, sometimes half the people there haven't even changed their list from 2 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just like, yo, what's up? I'm still playing Phantasma. And you're like, oh, crap.
Yeah,
I want to talk a little bit. I was going to say, I want to talk a little bit about prank hits. Just because that's become your signature deck, Connor.
Yeah, prank kids, the love of my life.
Yeah. How did that happen? When did that become the deck that you main?
So back before I picked up Salads, I was playing along with prank kids online, but I didn't really understand what I was doing, to be honest. And then it was when the card list for Phantom Rage was announced, and one of those cards was Prank Kids Meow Meow Moo. The link one that just made Prank Kids ridiculous. And I figured, you know what? Why don't I pick this deck up and have a go with it? I think with that deck, I ended up going undefeated at our hobby locals for about 2 months straight. And that was until everyone was on the triple VFD shenanigans.
The dark times.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's just a deck I had a lot of fun with. I've been on and off it, and it's just a deck that I don't feel like I get jaded by. I played Tri-Brigade for a long time, and then I always felt like after a few weeks, I just needed to put it down. And anytime I pick it up after that, I was like, I can only play a couple games with it, and then I kind of need a break from it. So yeah,
it's an interesting idea. Does anyone else have like a comfort deck that you just can go back to and have like, this will be like fun. I'll just play this again.
I can't think of a deck for myself, but
no, I couldn't possibly think of one for you, Joe.
Oh, Altergeist.
For you?
Oh, no, Joe can't possibly think of a deck. That's great.
Yeah, that's right.
I think it's Altergeist. I think every format that Altergeist has kind of popped up, or like, the fresh format, success that we see, every invoked variant winning a fresh tournament and Altergeist succeeding at fresh tournaments. It's just one of those decks you just say, I know how this goes.
Yeah.
Every single time you're just going to activate Multi-Faker, activate Silk, you have Kunk, you have Spoofing, and that's all you need. And I think for me, that's just a deck that is really comfortable. How about you? No collection of any particular deck that you really enjoy playing? No high rarity versions of a deck that you really enjoy playing?
Not to go against my brand, but it is probably Virtual World.
Yeah,
because I have been sticking on it for like a year, and every time I pick it up, I just have a lot of fun playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Even if it's not the best deck. Obviously, Heroes is like my pet project to just make look as ridiculously good as possible. But Hero, I think it doesn't necessarily satisfy the itch for playing because it is a very linear deck. It evolves over the years, but you are really just, Pharos Effect, Increase, Vion, Cross Crusader, Reborn, Tribute, Search, Fusion, Pass is the deck. I did have a lot of fun playing it in Spiral format, though. That was lots of good times. They just couldn't beat Darklaw. It was great.
Yeah, you actually couldn't beat Darklaw.
No, that deck just unless they opened blind Super Agent or just like drone into Super Agent into double Helix Prey. I mean, that was like the only open that could possibly happen because they couldn't use Magician Souls and stuff like that. So,
what's your famous verse against Napat during that Hamilton regional? Do you remember that story?
Yeah, Napat activated a danger and I hit it, and then he activated a danger and I hit it and he scooped, and then game 2 he bricked and I won. It was like 2 minutes. It was probably it was like so hot. I remember being so hot and uncomfortable as well, and just being like, well, I guess we don't have to play Yu-Gi-Oh today. Thank God. Didn't even have to play that one.
You did not have to.
Could have been playing like potato and chips and I would have been fine.
Yeah. So I guess looking forward now, obviously we've just had the success of the North Island Championships. This event was taken by Ricky, a Matamata legend, coming, and then following behind him was Naibo Yin on the aforementioned Virtual World. So what was obvious, and for myself personally, I was head judge of the event, and Joe was running an incredible hobby league down in Palmerston North. So obviously Lucas and Conor participated, having both earned their invites very early within the season. So what was your process for going into it, Conor? What were your thoughts going into it? Obviously, the biggest thing was the time being pushed back. Because I think the further it was pushed back, the more became accessible to players. So what was your personal process for going in, Conor?
At first, I was really kind of try hard, I guess would be the word. I wanted to top this event. And I was, testing different decks almost every night. And I kind of got to a point when I was like, I kind of figured, you know what, I just need to have fun, because when I have fun, I perform better. In past events, when I've just gone and having fun, I've done a lot better than when I've been trying to sweat it out. So that was kind of the thought process I wanted to carry through to play on yesterday. And also why I chose to end up playing Prank Kids.
He stayed true.
Yeah, got to stick to the brand. Yes.
When
What else did you play?
Tier 2. Low tier 2.
That's okay.
It's taking alongside the Prank Kids.
Okay, so I decided to play the classic 16 Prank Kid cards in the main with 18 hand traps.
Oh.
And then just some other extenders in the deck. And I'll tell you what, it worked out quite nicely.
Sure did, buddy. Especially when you drew Lancia against me.
Exactly.
Twice. Simply draw the right cards.
Exactly right.
How'd it go? How do you feel like NIC North Island Champs went? I
felt like it went really well, even though I ended up losing 2. The 2 losses I can put down to Harpy's Featherstorm. He drew it, so he won it, and that's fine.
That is how that card works.
And my other loss was against the Eldritch deck, and that is because I did not respect it in my deck building, not because I played poorly. So yeah, that is what it is. It was a choice. It was a conscious choice I made beforehand, and I got punished for it.
And Joe, this is something that you've actually mentioned previously, this kind of Eldritch, build. Would you attribute its kind of, rise in popularity to its accessibility now with Maximum Gold Eldorado being available?
I think so. And I think it's also like trap decks like Eldritch are kind of good for like long tournaments, and they catch people off guard like in their deck building, I think. Because like you look at people going into the tournament, I don't know about you guys, but like I'd be focusing on the Sword Soul, I'd be focusing on everything else in my main deck choices, and like you kind of forget about trap decks while you're building. And like this is just the one trap deck in the format that will catch you off guard like that, I feel.
Yeah, definitely.
There's something to be said for everyone maining Forbidden Droplets, Droll and Lockbird, maybe Nibiru, Gamma, and you're just like, I'll set 5.
Yeah.
Half their hand is now just useless. Like, what are they going to do? Droplet and Eldritch? I mean, you can, but
to what extent?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what are you doing?
This is something actually that a lot of the judges. This is something that Keza, Luke, and I actually discussed looking at the deck lists that were submitted. There was a lot of main deck draw, and while I understand the necessity to main it, I would say personally it was probably the most represented hand trap, maybe just behind Impermanence. I just could not for the life of me understand the justification because of the existence of these trap decks. You have just lost 3 slots to a deck that doesn't play to this card. And while I understand that obviously in a long form tournament, you're expecting to see a varied amount of decks and everything, and albeit there was a very low trap representation within the actual tournament itself, for me, just knowing New Zealand and knowing Hamilton, just kidding. This was an Auckland player who succeeded with it. There's no way I would have put Droll and Lockbird in the main personally. And then looking at it from a judge's standpoint, I felt like it was just like a punish. Looking at a lot of deck lists.
Did you main Droll, Connor? Was that one of your?
I did main Droll. Yes, I last minute put Droll in the main over Ghost Ogre.
Okay.
Oh wow! Really?
Ogre.
Yes, I was going to play Ogre, but after some thought, I thought Droll would be more impactful than Ogre.
Yeah.
Considering it was the most popular hand trap, you were really like, man, do I play this card that literally no one is playing, or the most popular card in the format? I'm glad you picked Droll. I mean, that probably worked out for you.
Actually, turned out to be my weakest hand trap. the whole day yesterday.
Preferred ogre.
Not that I would have preferred ogre. Just when I had droll, I never needed it. I think I used it once against Dino, and it was kind of like a nothing card.
Yeah. Me and Dino are on the same list as well. That Virtual World Sword Soul deck that I thought was the absolute hotness. It turned out to maybe suck. Unsure. It seemed really strong up against like a varied meta.
And it had a lot of success testing. Obviously, you know, Conor is one of Lucas's testing partners, someone that I'll play games against with, even when you're having a very terrible night, apparently.
Yeah, that was a bad night.
That was not a good day from you. But I've seen this deck succeed. Like, you put it through the ringer, you worked very hard on ratios. But what do you think just happened on the day? I mean, you can just attribute it to just poor drawing. Like, you can.
To an extent. And I'm not going to sit here and say, like, every decision I made was perfect. I didn't feel like I misplayed a ton. There's a couple notable moments, because Virtual World is that kind of deck that, you know, if you were to stream it, you could go back and go, what the hell was I thinking? Why didn't I do XYZ instead of YZX? I don't think the deck was bad, personally. I think it was maybe a little bit too... It almost can be like too much of a meta call, because... Looking at the way that the meta had shaped out, the most popular hand traps of the format were things that I didn't think were particularly effective against Virtual World. Besides Gamma, which is like relatively good, Nibiru is not very strong, Droll is not extremely good against Virtual World, and cards like Effect Veiler and Impermanence, while good against like the Sword Soul package, don't do anything to the Virtual World cards. So there were worlds in which I think round 1 against Dragon Link, I just didn't show any Sword Soul cards, and he sided out Veilers, which made the Sword Soul stuff like extra spicy. The Sword Soul package was 6 cards. It was 3 Emergence, 2 Moye, and 1 Longwan. The theory as well being Emergence, if you open just Emergence, maybe can search one of the Virtual World monsters as well, because some of them are worms. And then like the ceiling it adds is an extra Chi-Jiao and Baron on top of your end board so that you can negate spell traps. And I guess I was really in on the idea people were playing evenly matched, people were playing cards like Forbidden Droplet, and you know, putting out a Baron into that, especially with a Shen up, makes cards like Droplets just so much worse. So maybe I metagamed myself out of building a deck with, like, I didn't play Gamma and stuff like that. And looking back on it, Gamma would have been insane. So, yeah, hard to say. I mean, we do have to take the L's.
Yeah.
You got to win everything. Them too.
Exactly.
That's a key thing. Don't like, whenever I've ever lost in the tournament, I've never really like got too down on myself. I always, you know, leave the tournament. I'm like, oh, you know, that sucked. I put a lot of effort in, and I haven't come away with anything. But I still enjoy the trip. Like, I know this is more for like going on, you know, into physical tournaments, but I still make the most of it. You know, we still go out for dinner afterwards. We all like hang out afterwards, and it's a good time. And you got to focus on the positives from that sort of thing. And then when you get home later on, like think about, hey, how do we go forward and do better in the next one?
Yeah.
I think it's important actually for people who are prominent in like the competitive scene to share their losses. Like I've noticed, you know, following Pack, like he won't just only tweet his wins, right? He'll post like, damn, got bodied today, and kind of talk about that, because there's an idea that the pro players just never lose, and to be a good player, you have to just never lose, which is completely like, it's just impossible.
Yeah, exactly. Like Pack posted that. He posted a defeated prank kids list. We went like X3 like locals or something.
Yeah.
But
it happens.
like...
And some of it's draw, some of it's luck, and some of it's poor meta decisions. It's very hard to tell. So there's no point like beating yourself up over it.
And you can just have an off day yourself as well. Like you can just be feeling a little bit off, like not being focused. Like there's so many factors. Like, and just don't like get too down on it, and just like move on and like pick yourself up for the next one is my advice. Anyway.
I do want to maybe bring up the mood a little bit to celebrate someone in the fringe face downs community. One person that we've actually been testing with a little bit was Eli. 17 years old, top forward with pure Lyrilusc.
He might be 18. Okay, I might be Raz.
He is email into the podcast.
Please DM us. He is in his last year of high school. And so this was, I think, kind of our vagabond Takapuna success story. Because so Conor is obviously frequents this particular hobby. Lucas and I also enjoy it, and Eli is someone that we actually was that one of the first people Lucas and I ever met when we got into the game.
That's true.
He was one of the first people that we ever met when we went to Vagabond in the CBD for when Lucas and I got into Yu-Gi-Oh! And he was on his good old Super Poly zombie rivalry and has, progressed quite onward. There's a great story behind how he got his deck. This is a very good one. So testing with Eli, he obviously 17 years old, has a part-time job, or 18 years old, last year in high school, doesn't have a lot of money. Which I think we can all very much relate to when we're starting a game or, looking at new strategies and realizing that there's quite a financial, investment in wanting to pick up a new strategy. So we've been testing. He printed out all his entire Lyrilusc deck and proxies. So he, in this tournament, opted to play Pure, which is what he'd also been testing with us against us with. And he said, I really want to play this deck. It seems like so much fun. I just don't know how much bird calls are going to be. And I think TCG player pre-order pricing started coming out. And he's like, oh, they're looking like $40. Like, that's quite a bit for a deck. Like $120 for 3 cards is, a lot of money for someone who has a part-time job. So lo and behold, I will not name the card store. However, one of our local card stores opened product and listed the singles. They were listed in incorrect pricing of $10 a bird call, $10 an ensemble blue, and $10 a Celestine wagtail. I immediately messaged Eli and I said, listen, I don't know how much money you have. It's not my business. However, these are $10 each, and I think that's quite cheap. And he said, oh my God, they are. I then get a message 5 minutes later going, I bought my entire deck for $110. And then 5 minutes later, he goes, they were listed incorrectly. They're now $40 each. So this man picked up his entire deck for under $150, took it home, tested against us, and 2-1
clapped us.
Myself and Lucas. I was on Drytron and Lucas was on...
I think Pure V-Dub.
I think you're on, Phantom Knights.
Oh yeah, I was testing Phantom Knights. He clapped us so bad. Like, we couldn't take a match. It was insane.
It was ridiculous. And so, this is quite a success story because he had never had a lot of event success.
The first event he'd played was his invite.
Yes. So this was the Dice Goblin
Extravaganza.
This was you and him in the finals.
Yeah.
Was that correct?
And he was playing Code Talkers back then. Another really sick deck that no one has really been playing, but is pretty competent.
So, yeah, and then he came to this event. I believe he beat Connor.
He beat me.
He beat Lucas. Had 2 losses, and I believe round 4. He
lost his last round, and I think he lost...
round 4?
Yeah, he lost to Naibo in time. And then, proceeded to lose again to Naibo in time in the final, in the top 4, which was a little unfortunate. But overall, insane. And it was just very cool to watch because I had already scrubbed out. I lost to him in the final round and said, I just hope you're 8th, because we were table 8 going into the final round. I'm like, it's really likely you're going to be 9th if you win. But we're going to pray for 8th. And he did. He got 8th and then took out top 8, again top 4, won a booster box of product. So basically the deck paid for itself.
And so I guess following on from that, what is your guys' opinion? Because for reference, for those who are listening along with us, Eli played a pure Lyrilusc build. There was no inclusion of any Tri-Brigade cards. He simply played some of the best level 1 extenders, things like Jester Confi, which I hadn't seen before. Slower Swallow, Kinkabio.
Was he on Kinkabio?
He was on a singular Kinkabio.
Yo.
So I guess, what is your opinion? Because I know that you've tested the Lyrilusc Tri-Brigade version. Lucas and I own the deck. I'm sure Joe actually would have seen a bit of this popping around with the, Palmerston North crew. But Connor, what was your, impression of this deck as it started to gain the momentum through Swiss?
Don't just say Harpy's Featherstorm.
No, I like the deck a lot. It's surprising how annoying to deal with a simple non-target, a card you can't be targeted and can't be destroyed, and also they take no battle damage, and it can't be it's a bit of a pain in the ass to deal with.
And you were uniquely playing a deck that doesn't have a lot of high attack normal summons. I think is probably key in that matchup.
Yeah, definitely. My highest attack monster in Pranky is 1500. I can't deal with his cards.
I think my first experience against this deck as well. Like, was we do casual Thursdays now in Palmy, and a new player showed up last week, and I hadn't seen the deck before, and they just summoned Robin turn 1 with like the 4 materials, and I'm like, that seems like a pretty broke card. Like when I was reading it, I was playing Sword Soul, and I just didn't draw any outs for it, and I just had to keep specialing, and it was like, yeah, no, it's nuts. Like the pure version has a lot of gas.
I just think Ensemble Robin is a really well-designed boss monster. Like, its ability to, obviously gain a lot of materials from what's used underneath it. It's not once per turn clause on the card, which is something that we've discussed in a previous episode, is kind of what makes it the most impactful. And also the fact that it doesn't lose the effects of the materials, or like the materials give it when they're detached. Yeah. So even a 0 material Ensemble can still be 200 attack, unable to be taken control of, and can't be targeted.
The not taken control of is so funny, because I was playing Tactics, and there's just that feeling of like, it just doesn't do anything. It's terrible. Yeah, Konami, actually, I want to get your thoughts on this, have been experimenting with not once per turn lately. Have you noticed? We have this card, the upcoming DDD Xyz monster is not once per turn. The upcoming Asarctic spell is just card of safe return. It's a not once per turn draw a card if you special summon an Asarctic. So I guess what are you guys' thoughts on this kind of new age of experimenting with not once per turns?
Yeah, I feel like
what do you think?
I feel like it's their new age power creep.
I can see it.
We had the phase of hard once per turns being really good effects, and now we're seeing really good effects not being once per turn.
I guess it's as simple as that.
Well, it's funny because like they've almost progressed. Obviously, there was like not once per turn in the slightest. Then you think of things like wind-ups, which are just once while they're on the field.
Which is not once per turn if you can get them off the field.
If you can blink them or, banish them and, return them to the field. And then you obviously things like, summoning restrictions. You can only special summon 1 Dingirsu per turn. They've kind of then limited like summoning mechanics. Even, Conor on Pranky, you could only ever link summon Meow Meow once per turn.
Yeah. I think it's their way of power creep without necessarily making the game more redundant.
Or introducing a new mechanic.
Yeah, because Dragoon is like the most redundant card ever printed. Dragoon is just every good piece of text you can have on a Yu-Gi-Oh card. And I think we're tired of that. Like, how much more protection and negation can you give one monster?
Yeah, I think they've been a bit more careful with it. I don't... correct me if I'm wrong here, but like I feel like they're not doing it so much with generic cards as such. Like they are very much putting it in archetypes for these like non-once per turn effects, and I think it's kind of their way of balancing it, I suppose. Yeah,
you can target and destroy a Phoenix Enforcer. Nothing about that's untargetable. It just comes back, but that's fine. Like
I like DPE because it's not just a negate. I've never really liked negates. I've talked about it before. I think they're boring.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So I guess what we didn't even ask, what was your final standings after this after the North Island Championships, Connor? And then what was your biggest takeaway from the event?
Let's see, my final standing, I think I was 12th with X2 record, and I guess my biggest takeaway is just to respect the trap deck. To be honest. I can't say that.
Was there something poorly. You, in retrospect, would have wanted to side or main deck? Was there something that just you weren't prepared for going into the tournament, or something that showed up that you weren't expecting to see?
No, nothing unexpected. I think because we knew that all the players that were going to be in got their invites from events, what decks they were on. It's kind of a good hint that should expect meta for this particular event. And no one had anything super spicy, especially because I actually tested with like half of the people that were in the North Island Champs.
Yeah. Yes.
And they tested with the decks they took. They were just like, here it is.
Yeah.
Fair. I think as well, like remote duels, you kind of have to be not more of a competitive player if you're going to do them, because I mean it doesn't appeal as much, I don't think, to a more casual player, like because you have to go out your way quite a bit to play and set up and like you have to spend a little bit of money on like a remote door setup. Like, you know, I know you can just get a phone stand and stuff, but I feel like when I've seen remote doors, you generally don't see those like table 500 decks like in the tournament as such. That people do bring, you know, better decks to those sorts of events.
I have strong memories of every event I've ever been to. You know, you get that one round that's just like, oh, this person's just on Ancient Warriors. Like,
Shit, you not, I'd literally verse an Exodia deck. I have actually gone to an event and just sat down against someone and they were just playing flat out Exodia.
Wow. Did they take a game?
No.
Nice.
They did open, I think, 3 pieces one of our games. And I was like, okay, that's pretty cool.
They just weren't cheating hard enough.
I lost to Exodia at my locals not too long ago as well. I just got stunned out for the whole game. And then I remember in game 3, he opened 3 pieces and his Ledger of Legion got him into the last 2 pieces.
Wow. This man should play poker.
Yeah. So, you know.
Insane. I'm trying to think of some of the jankest decks I've had to play at a tournament.
Some of those matches are the funnest ones, though, to be honest.
They are.
Yeah. Yes. They're almost like worth playing. Like they kind of reinvigorate the spark of like, oh my God, that was dumb. I loved that. Can we have more of that?
And also not to sound like a shady meta player, but when you do sit down and realize your opponent's just on jank, you're like, well, I can just have fun, right? Because I'm going to win. And I guess you lost to Exodia, but you know, for the most part, you don't really have to try too hard with a meta deck to beat something jank, which I don't know. There's something to that. I mean, obviously pub stomping is not cool. If there was like a casual format, no one would want you to show up with, I don't know, Sword Soul.
Yeah. No, I think it almost gives a little bit of flavor to like IRL events, I suppose. Like, especially like in the bigger ones. Like, and I think for the casual players, like they probably they struggle through the first few rounds because they'll play against like some meta, but then you'll find like you'll go down to those lower tables and you see like people playing like 2 rogue decks just having like so much fun. And I think it's an important part of Yu-Gi-Oh! Like we have to acknowledge the fact that like these rogue and casual decks are like extremely fun to play, and it, you know, people's pet decks, they like enjoy using them. So yeah.
I think that's why we've all been attracted to old formats in a way, because we're all so competitively brain poisoned that we can't necessarily bring like a jank deck to a tournament. But old formats just a way to experience that kind of back and forth, quote unquote, more fun Yu-Gi-Oh, I guess.
Yeah.
While still playing like good decks that don't just auto lose to meta flavor of the month. Sweet.
I guess also, I think another topic that's really interesting to speak about is obviously, Connor, you've spoken about the use of, you know, you got into the game using, you know, simulators, things like Edo Pro, things like Dueling Book. What are your recommendations to someone that it might be in your position? You know, I think we've spoken about it previously. You know, the use of simulators are really good, you know, budget alternatives. But I think, what is like your advice for someone who, you know, wants to get into the game? They might not have the best amount of money, and what simulator you would recommend and for what reason?
Yeah, definitely take advantage of the simulators. You're never going to be able to practice with those good cards and figure out whether it's worth putting your money into unless you actually try and use them. I think using like EDO Pro or like Master Duel when that comes out will be pretty handy to learn, just getting your finger on how your deck of choice works. Those like the cues, I joke about the floating circles telling me what to do, but you know, sometimes you need that at the beginning because you don't know what anything does. So probably a good starting point in my opinion, and then moving over to Dueling Book after that, just to, you know, see if you can actually manage that deck and resources yourself. I think
you're right. Dueling Book is maybe too scary for like someone who just hasn't played Yu-Gi-Oh before. Especially because people will just yell at you if you get things wrong.
Exactly. Like, I remember
call judges and things like that.
That's right. Like when you jump onto Dueling Book the very first time, you just build, you know, you chuck your deck together and you go straight onto Rated. And as soon as you go into Rated, you're meeting all the people who, you know, are actually trying to get their rating up.
This is my life.
And know all the cards and surprised that someone's on here and doesn't know how to play the game.
Yeah.
So yeah, the advantage of the EDO Pro, you have a lot more casual people on there as well, also learning the game.
What would be your like advice to like a new player wanting to get into like the physical game itself? Like, how would you tell them to sort of do that?
Honestly, I just say you want to go in to have fun. I don't think you should be going in person, trying to win if you're just getting into the game. Just try and have fun, and you'll learn a lot just by playing the game.
Yeah, I could see someone getting burnt out spending $800 on a meta deck and then still losing over and over again, because you're not going to just start off winning.
Exactly. I think I won the last round of locals for the first few weeks just because I was playing against like Riley, my brother, and I always duel against him, so I know how to play that game.
Mm-hmm.
And
You're on an even playing ground.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just the L I have to take while I'm learning.
That's actually relevant. Having someone you start with is good, because at the very least you'll be able to beat them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Small bit of confidence there, knowing that you can win. Yeah, you take those.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, very similar to our relationship.
I want to just move on a little bit to something you have upcoming, Connor. Talking about scrubbing out at North Island Champs doesn't feel so bad, because next week you're hosting kind of a serious event. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, sure. So me and one of my friends, Will, we're hosting a case tourney, and it's free entry for anyone. It's remote duel format, and it's available to anyone who can play around the world.
Oh. So first of all, which bank did you rob?
No, we have to thank Will for this one. He is the funding for this. Yes, he's the
financier.
He's the madman that has hosted a free winner case tournament with it's not even just winner case. There's prizes for second, right?
Yeah. So the first place prize is a case of Bode, and then from 16th to second place, a case of Bode will be split amongst those winners. And then we gave a spot prize away for everyone who's registered up until Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
We've had over 120 people register already.
Wow.
With
including some
names.
high-profile names.
Yeah, we've had Treff signed up, Pack signed up, a few other names in there.
I saw Elise, who's topped a few YCSs, I believe, with Sky Striker.
I heard.
Yeah, that's right.
Cody Angeloff is also.
Cody Angeloff said he might be keen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really sure if he's too busy or something, but he's definitely said he's keen. I guess who else? Maybe like Deadly. If anyone knows Deadly B7.
Yes.
He's another streamer. He's signed up, and it's looking like it's going to be a cool
really
tournament.
Cool. What's not to give away the spice, but will you be playing the tournament, or will you be streaming it as feature matches?
Well, I've been thinking about playing it using my my budget deck for a series that me and Lucas have been starting up.
That's true. Coming soon to a YouTube channel somewhere.
Yeah, just thinking about it at the moment because it kind of seems a bit odd having one of the hosts playing in it.
I mean, Pac played his own event and streamed it. I don't know how he managed to do that.
I think someone was using his account for that one.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh, that wasn't him?
Yeah, it wasn't him.
It was Cam Neal.
Oh, that's very funny.
Yeah, he just got to use that name as intimidation for his opponents.
A phantom top under his name. That makes sense.
That's something
it'd be interesting playing the budget deck, but it has only been a week of the actual series, so it may be a bit preemptive to try and take down meta threats. Ruben, are you going to be playing it? Do you want to watch it? What's your thoughts on it?
I'll definitely be keeping up with it. I'm not... Obviously, unfortunately, it does fall at a very particular time where this is the first time that Aucklanders are able to enjoy outside life.
It's the day after lockdown.
It is the day after we enter our new, approach to COVID-19, our new, framework. However, the success it's garnering is not to be scoffed at.
No.
And I don't think that this is an example of a one-hit wonder. I think this is a consistent success. This is something that will see consistency within the future. And I'll be very interested to see how it pans out. If you need to judge, let me know. I am always on call, especially as Joe knows, on Saturdays at Hobby. I'm on call. What is your early predictions for success within the tournament, Connor?
Well, I'm expecting a lot of people to be, testing out their decks because the following weekend is the remote duel YCS, which is another reason I think this has gathered so much attention relatively quickly.
It's really good timing.
Yeah.
One day after Brothers, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, the day after Brothers, but we've had to unfortunately not allow those cards since
Yeah,
a
it's
lot
remote
of
duel.
people
That would be
won't
unfair.
have those cards available. Yeah, unfortunately, it is what it is.
Sorry, Utopia players. Better luck next time.
Yeah, I'm expecting to see a lot of birds, a lot of worms.
Yep.
Yeah,
a
pretty
lot
much.
of meta,
Early bird gets the
basically.
worm. Yeah.
I'm
That
not.
is
Yeah,
good,
I'm not
actually.
expecting much rogue in this event, purely because of the following YCS.
That's a good reason. Yeah, I think that's a good call. And there'll definitely be a lot of, I imagine, mirroring of PAX tournament just because those decks just proved themselves. And
Yeah, exactly.
generally, YCSs are populated by decks that have been topping. There's not usually a huge swing in another direction.
Yeah, exactly right.
You sometimes get that spicy list, but apart from that, yeah, it kind of runs true with what's going on.
I mean, we see like, you know, that pack event, the second place, you know, Machina Orcus.
Machina Orcus was pretty sick.
That was just total left field for that event. There was even like a scrap train that top 16 was that.
It was Machina Trap.
Yeah,
like pure trap Machina.
Yeah. So you can quite often see things like that. I'd love to see obviously Ruin Force FTK. That would be hilarious.
Reasoning to 3, please. Come on.
Reasoning to 3. But I think you're correct. I think people will be testing what they know, what they want to see tries out, and you know checks out within the meta. I think out of the two, just as a personal, maybe just a little round, round discussion. Obviously, we have discussed how diverse this format is, how approachable it is to a lot of new players. But I think we can quite clearly see that the two decks emerging in success are the Tri-Brigade Lyrilusc version as well as the Tenyi Sword Soul version. So I guess starting with Joe, what is your personal, what would you place at maybe the higher tier or higher caliber? And it could be personal, it can be statistics based. I would just like to know your personal opinion on what you believe out of these two decks is, going to be the more successful.
Out of the birds or the I think it's hard to say because like I believe I reckon the top cut will be kind of an even pie chart, to be honest. I think Sword Soul Tenyi has like it's just so consistent and it can like get rid of those boards with ease. But however, the birds like as well have that same level of consistency. Have the potent boards. They also have the Harpies Further Storm like play as well. So I don't know. I feel like the top cut will be around 20% of each of those, and then the rest will be just made up of the rest, I suppose.
Yeah.
Connor, what do you think will probably be more successful at this kind of an event?
Yeah, I'm thinking the Tenyi Sword Souls, even Pure Sword Soul, and birds. Birds on paper seem really good. So I can't see why it wouldn't be at the top. And I guess the Invoke deck would be my next pick. I quite like that.
How can we can you collectively eye roll for all three of us that do not have a video camera, Connor?
Yeah.
Is that possible?
Can we get like a prominent eye roll? I don't think Invoked will top actually, because I think Invoked is, well, I mean, some variant of Fusion.deck might top. But specifically, Invoked seems to always prop up at like the first event of a format and take names. I don't know if like DPE Turbo is the deck of the format. I mean, maybe I could be wrong.
Yeah, I've seen a bit of a drop off with Flounderies recently as well. Like I feel like people are starting to realize how to just play against it. I guess. And I feel, because I didn't see any in the top cut for the North Island champs. I didn't see. I think there was only one in the tournament anyway. Yeah,
2 people playing the deck.
Yeah, no one was on it.
Yeah,
there's one.
I think it was
person on it
Hamel.
yesterday. Yeah.
No, it was Hamel and.
Was it Commit?
Commit, maybe. Yeah.
I think maybe Commit. I'm unaware, but anyway, Lucas, what do you personally think will populate this kind of success, like the top cut, and have the most showing?
Honestly, I think Birds is the deck to beat. I think Tenyi Sword Soul has probably a better going second than that deck. But when it comes to going first, when it comes to being able to play a lot of technical like sideboard cards in the main deck, I think Birds is just super strong. The amount they can get out of just a turquoise and a cobalt is obscene, and it rivals the Sword Soul deck in just having a little bit more gas on turn 3 onward to maybe like recover and build a secondary board. Because one of the issues with Tenyi Sword Soul is if you get Zeused, you often just don't have a play in hand. A lot of them require 2 cards, like Long One needs a discard, Moye needs a reveal. So unless you have exactly Ecclesia added back after a DPE, you're often stuck without anywhere to go from there. Not to say the deck is bad, and I think Arch Nemesis Protoss is an extremely unfair card that will win a ton of matches, although I think maybe is a little weaker now. It's a known quantity in the main board. There'll be probably a little bit more respect given to maybe playing hand traps, less board breakers to play around floodgate effects like Protoss or back row like Harpy's Featherstorm. Both pretty oppressive cards to deal with, not gonna lie. Play Lava Golem, I guess.
What about
that's my recommendation. Seems pretty good.
Have you guys got any like sort of dark horses that you feel like might do well in the tournament?
Ruben?
Something that utilizes, I believe a back row deck will succeed utilizing Lord. I think that card,
Sky Prison?
Lord of the Heavenly Prison, I believe that card is going to be one of the most relevant secret rares going forward. I just think that card does so much, and just the more listening to it, the more about the card analysis, the more I'm kind of understanding as to why it's seeing so much success, because a lot of these players that are on the deck just hold it. You just continually keep your back row safe until you OTK. It's non-conditional, which is like incredulous to me.
Yeah.
You just can reveal it, and your back row is safe from all these, incredible, back row removal cards.
Duster, etc.
Dusters, Storms, Twins, MSTs, Blackouts, like nothing touches it.
It's like the final piece in the puzzle that Lightning Storm started, right? Because Lightning Storm came out and everyone's like, well, guess I'm quitting Altergeist, right? Like I can't play anymore. And this card coming out almost reverses that. Kind of takes away some of the power from going second blowout staples.
Yeah, so I think personally for me, something that's going to be utilizing Lord.
You think Eldritch is the best trap deck this format?
I don't know if Eldritch is the best trap deck. It's definitely the most, it's the quickest to kill, which in its right is quite successful.
It can play the most traps.
Yeah,
I think is what makes it strong.
Yeah. It's I feel like that's the thing about this format is like a lot of these boards you're seeing. Like they're waiting for your opponent to put monsters on board, and like you're right. Like if you just set 5 pass, like your opponent's like, oh, okay, like my Baron and my Zhizhao don't do anything right now. Like they're just on the field, and it's very strong. But what about you, Conor? Have you got any decks that you feel like you might see sneak into a top cut?
Yeah, of course, Prank Kids, obviously.
Hell yeah, baby.
Tier 2, terrible.
It is a tier 2 deck, I can admit that, but when people disrespect a 1-card combo engine, they can easily get punished.
Yeah, and I think you see that with Dragon Link too, like being the same. Yeah, and it would be iconic as well.
Yesterday, yeah.
Dragon Link looked real nice. Yeah, Dragon Link looked real good.
Lucas, what's your dark horse?
What's my dark horse? Having seen Invoked DPE do as well as it did, and almost no other deck being on it, I definitely think there's going to be a combination of Bode staples that wins the entire thing. And I do believe DPE will be in that equation, whether or not it's in like a pure Sword Soul deck or in something spicier. I know the Dragon Link player was on it. Phantom Knights obviously play it. I don't want to go as far as to say I think Pure Heroes is like the deck. It's tough to say like a dark horse because we've kind of discussed every deck is relatively secure. Like honestly, I feel like a pure Tri Brigade deck featuring DPE could be pretty killer. Not gonna lie. Just playing like a bunch of hand traps and trap cards with the Fusion Destiny package. I mean, how could that possibly be bad?
And then Joe, what about you?
I mean, I have to agree with you with the trap deck. I know it's a bit unoriginal, but I just feel like you're going to see like 1 or 2 of the slots in the top 16, taken up by trap decks. Like because in the long run of a tournament, I feel like a deck like Eldritch just has the legs to like upset enough people, I suppose. So yeah, that's my one. Bit boring.
It is
but there you
just
go.
at the end of the day a 3,500 beater that can bring itself back from the grave.
Yeah,
so
pretty much.
know, like you can't just get smacked by a Golden Lord twice and go, well, I'm at 1,000 life points now. I guess that's me.
All right, we need spicier takes. Ice Jade Mermail's going to top. Definitely.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Speedroid. Just pure Speedroid.
Just Speedroids, actually, though.
Oh,
Can
with
someone
Puppy
play that
Storm
deck?
main, like somehow I don't know.
Speedroid, when Speedroid Scratch comes out and Brothers,
You're going to play it?
I'm going to play it. I did play Speedroids for a while just for a fun deck. And the support is kind of nice. Not going to lie.
It just seems cracked that no one's like. Obviously, it's not the best deck of the format. Literally, no one plays it. Like I've never seen anyone play that deck, and it's really good.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so that's our takes. So Ice Jade Mermails. I've just got Speedroids. Just throw. What about like
Trap Bonus.
Magistus?
We've been looking over at our deck collections.
How about Magistus? Yeah.
Melfi Hero, Abyss Actor, Curse Necrophere, Destiny Board. Wait, can Destiny Board top? Think about it. Heavenly Sky Prison can set individual pieces from deck. Think about it.
Yeah, but they banish at the end phase.
Just win.
Just win.
Just win.
They literally have to be set by Destiny Board, but that's fine. Okay, so I feel like
just cheat.
Yeah, just cheat. Just cheat. Just soft cheat.
Cheating
It's a
will
remote duel. It's actually totally fine. No one's gonna notice, and no one, very famously, at the end of this event, I got 3 messages saying, Chija's effect is one per turn and only once that turn. And I went, oh, well, they all accepted it. Oops. Yeah. Forgive me for having to issue game losses and tell people how to issue warnings. And at the very last game, I just shat the bed and just didn't notice it at all.
Ruben's like, I'm head judge. The rules are what I say.
I was like, oh, it's soft. Yeah, no, it's fine.
I do want to take a minute to say you did a really good job. I don't want I don't want you to like talk down on yourself. Like you legit running a remote duel is like a special kind of hell. Because instead of answering card questions, you have to just hear people talk about webcam security for like 20 minutes. You know, oh, well, their camera's moving on my end. Well, I can't see it. Like, that is just absolute pain. So I feel you on that, and you did a really good job.
Yeah, my back hurt. Not from carrying the event, but from literally sitting in a chair for 7 hours speaking with this event. However,
not even playing Yu-Gi-Oh!
I did get a shiny Dialga out of it, so I'm very thankful. That was a very good, like, 1,200 resets.
I heard Ruben yell, like, midway through my second round, just, got the shiny! And I was like, oh, sick. Judge is happy.
I was like, no, what am I going to do for the next 7 hours? But yeah, so I feel like, it's been incredible speaking with you, Connor. Obviously, you've got some lovely insight for players that, haven't been around for a long time, or maybe have and only just recently got into it. Obviously, you've got a very unique story coming up using the use of the simulators and the online features of Yu-Gi-Oh!, albeit very few. And now we're seeing the success going forward, and I think that this will be indicative of more success to come once in-person events do finally return to us in not Auckland, and to us in Auckland as well. Thoughts and prayers. That's all I've got to say.
I can't wait for it though. As well with that.
Oh yeah, well, okay, yeah. Palmerston North is on the first. Is on the
coming
first
for you,
stop for all of us in Auckland.
We're gonna play the Flawanda mirror. I'm gonna make you do it.
Oh, I refuse.
For 12 hours.
Yeah, and just as a kind of a wrap-up question, I guess, Connor, anything you're looking forward to coming up soon? Anything that you're looking forward to participating in, hosting, purchasing?
Besides your own tournament.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that tournament next week. I'm looking forward to the remote duel YCS. I think I will play in it and give that a go. I think, I played a lot of remote duels for the last year and a half, which is, I guess, being able to give me the stamina to play lots and continue playing. I'm just enjoying playing more games and seeing where the meta goes. And also proving that never tired and proving that prank kids will always be a great deck.
Of course. Just like me with Virtual World. In bottom tables, baby.
Exactly.
Lovely. And so those of us who might not have caught the stream or are watching this or listening to this retroactively, where are people able to find you, Connor?
So you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/CheeseTCG. I stream kind of maybe every other night of the week. Yeah, just pop on by, say hi, and we'll have a good time.
It is a good time. I can confirm.
And what kind of content could they expect, just for those interested?
They can expect to see some hobbies if I decide to play hobbies, money matches, or just maybe some deck building, dueling with viewers, whatever. I'm kind of open to anything.
I love that. And so that's on Twitch as well. That's twitch.tv/CheeseTCG.
Yeah.
Correct.
Guys, why cheese?
Why cheese, Dom?
Yeah, so, I mean, I was going with Conor Catastrophic for a while, and that was because it was a dubbed nickname from when I was in high school. And when I was trying to come up with a good, like, Twitch overlay, I was trying to think, oh, can I use my initials somehow? I was like, CHS, is that, like, for a word? Cheese. Oh, you know what? Let's go with cheese.
Literally your initials. I didn't even realize.
Yeah,
that's very funny.
I went with it, and it stuck.
Yeah.
So I'm quite happy with it.
It's been sick having you on. It's glad to, I don't know, hear a new voice in the podcast and
yeah, thanks for
hear
having
some
me.
different perspectives on Yu-Gi-Oh. Anyone else have some closing thoughts about the format?
Good. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, Joe, what was your TLDR of your latest hobby league? It's something that we are very excited to be experiencing as of next Friday.
Yeah, so the final this week was Flawonderies versus Invoke Shadol. And it went down.
He said it.
Oh no!
He said the S word.
Right at the end.
God, I'm going to blow out the microphone doing that. I'm sorry to everyone
Oh
listening.
shit!
Got the whole way through the podcast. We got so far.
And then the invoked fusion player won.
Yeah, it could be anything.
Yeah.
Wait. The invoked S deck beat Flawonderies?
Yes.
He was Willy Wonka.
He was using more he was like focused more towards the invoke package in the deck, and he was using those sorts of things, and he ended up Purgatrio and attacking over everything for game.
Well, that will do it. Yeah, it's a good card.
Yeah, wow. Extra Deck Snarl is pretty fierce. So I think that's been us. Obviously, coming off of a really incredible event. Apologies to both of you for not seeing yourselves in the top 8. However, that will not be for long, I can guarantee it.
Cry about it. Yep.
And so, as always, if you do have any questions, comments, queries, or concerns, you are able to leave a comment down below, like and subscribe while you're down there too. It helps out a lot. And if you do have anything you'd like for us to speak about in a future or upcoming podcast, or something that we can just bring to our attention and have as a discussion point, you are able to contact us at thefacedowns@gmail.com.
That's thefacedowns@gmail.com. And we haven't had any emails in a week. I'm lonely.
I know. Can you someone let us know? And you can follow all of us on Twitter. We've all chosen really awesome, unique naming methods, so I will not be listing them off at this moment in time.
I don't know them, yeah.
However, they will be in the video description, as well as linked in the, as well as displayed in the YouTube image.
Just follow us on YouTube. That's like the easy thing.
Yeah. I believe you can follow the Face Downs on Twitter as well.
If any pornography comes up, that's not us. Yet, I guess.
Yeah, I'm yet to go to Nelson and Hamilton to let Ross and Aiden know.
Yeah, exactly.
However, I will be updating accordingly. And as always, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much, Connor, for having us on live. And my name is Ruben.
I'm Lucas.
And I'm Joe.
And you have been listening to The Face Downs.